Our next speaker is someone very special, somebody that I only met last month, actually, when I did the alchemy event, and he's one of the Camelot crew, along with Tommy, and along with myself is your host tonight. Now, Jerry is a skillful psychic. He is he has a long story, and one of these days he's going to write a book, and I'll leave it to him to tell you about it. But he's a gifted remote viewer. He does astral projection. He's probably one of the more skilled astral or remote viewers that I've run into. And I'm pretty excited about knowing him, because I can see that we'll probably get into all kinds of trouble in the future. Anyway, so without further ado, would everybody please welcome Jerry? He's going to talk about lucid dreaming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very honored and pleasured to be here, actually. This is somewhat, to not get too cliche, it is kind of a dream come true in a sense, because I never thought that my little adventures in dreamland were much more than my imagination, until I realized, oh wait, those are the same reptilian ETs that you're talking about? Those UFO things are real? All this other stuff really happens? Oh crap. I was hoping I was just really good at making things up. But the short story, so to speak, about my past is that I was just born with I was born just not knowing the divide between the quote-unquote waking world and the dream world. I just kind of thought everyone woke up in their dreams and somewhere else in their own mind, and I was like, oh, okay. And that didn't become apparent to me till I was probably like 11 or so, when it was just a little anecdote. Kids on the recess at the playground, and we're just standing around talking with my friends, and one of my friends tells a joke, and everyone laughs, and I'm like, you guys didn't know he was going to tell that joke? I'm thinking this, right? Because I'd already seen it in the day before, and that night before, and then I'm like, wait a minute, maybe they didn't. And so, recess ends, and we're walking back, and I just go, hey guys, do you ever have dreams that actually come true, or actually happen? They're kind of looking around like, no. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. Walking right. And at that point too, without getting too much into that part of my history for this particular talk, there was a lot of things I tried to block out too, which had to do with some of the stuff that Anthony was talking about a little earlier, and some of those who are familiar with, say, like the Jesse Ventura show in relation to the brain invaders and super soldier stuff. Apparently there's some of us that they like to experiment on without us knowing, and I didn't realize I was one of those lucky few until later on in my life. And it's quite a bit to come to grips with, but I'm glad I did, because it allows me to share all these things that I never told anyone. I didn't tell my parents, my brothers, my friends, nothing, okay? Because it's, as we know, you talk about aliens, you talk about underground bases, you talk about any of that stuff like that, you're crazy, especially, we're talking like, 2, maybe 3 decades ago. I'm 34, so it's like I probably wouldn't have been talking that much when I was 4. But who knows? Some people say I talk too much, so. But either way, so over my short journey here so far, I've learned quite a bit about what it is to be a lucid dreamer and astral project. Now at the same time, I had to learn these terms too, because I just did what I did. I didn't recognize there was any kind of delineation or genre. And so I'm like, oh, that's what they're talking about when they say lucid dreaming. Oh, that's what astral projection is. So with that being said, how many in here are familiar with lucid dreaming? Lucid dreaming? All right. What about astral projection? Okay, cool. We have ourselves a fairly, educated audience here. So this is cool. So I can get right into a lot of stuff. Now, how many experience lucid dreaming or astral projection on a regular basis? All right, we got a couple. And what about just dreaming in general on a regular basis? Okay, great. So now, if you have dreams all the time, that's perfect, because what that really shows that you're in touch with the part of your subconscious that's trying to communicate to your conscious mind. And that subconscious generally is the one that's relaying the information from that higher source, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, to that conscious mind. And so when we're having these dreams that are highly symbolic, these are assimilations of what we perceive of our environment being forced through the filters of our conscious mind. And so the trick, so to speak, of lucid dreaming or even remote viewing psychic function is actually more about understanding yourself. It's not really about how much power you can gain, about how many techniques you can cram into your head. It's more about understanding who you are and what your perceptions of yourself and your world actually is. And usually I have a nice little presentation here, but I realized I brought the wrong memory stick, so I'm just going to have to wing it here. And one of the techniques that I talk about to help get in touch with this is to be what I call hyper-aware of your day, which means essentially being more aware of what everything means to you in your life, because that works into the web of associations that creates the symbols in your dreams. So, in other words, I'm sure many people have had dreams about being in their car, right? And so usually cars, especially your car that you identify, and that road tends to symbolize your path in life. Now, anything that happens on there, say you have the road's nice and clear, everything's good, that's then you say like you're pondering, is this never going to work? And you have that dream about the clear road. That's letting you know, hey, despite your conscious filters that are telling you to be afraid, your subconscious is saying, you know what, we're actually calculating a probability that's saying, no, you'll be okay, you know? So, but to be able to understand that, because I don't know how many times I've consulted with people and they don't see that logic switch there, that kind of flip into this waking reality because of those associations and because too much of the conscious mind is trying to enter into the decision making here when you really should be in a receptive mode. And so to kind of enter that receptive mode in the waking day actually helps to induce lucid dreams or even just dreams in general. So for those who don't dream regularly, this is a way that you can actually just start to induce more dreams with coherency. So hopefully they're not shocking or anything too, because what I suggest doing is taking something, an object that you see or use all the time. Say so many people use their cell phones. And one of the common things that I suggest people ask is, say, what does the cell phone mean to you? What do you use it for? Who communicates to you from it? And who do you communicate with? Because what happens is that web of association starts linking to these symbols that might be kind of hazy. For instance, if we have let's say we talk to a friend a lot about their car, since we have the car analogy going on, okay, and you get a message about them and their car, and they're going on that nice, clear, open road. Now, you don't know why you had that. Like, why was I dreaming about my friend, on this clear, open road? It's like, what happened? It's like, well, what do I know the life path? What does that mean? Life path, my apparatus. How does this relate to my friend? Well, I was just talking to them on the phone yesterday about this thing that they're worried about. And so now, oh, wait a minute. So that's kind of letting them know that, that's probably going to go okay. And so there's a jump in that logic there because it's associative logic. It's not something that's going to be too linear to say like, okay, you got this cell phone from the friend who's going to say, you get the message, oh, okay, yeah, everything's going to be okay. No, it does work that way, but as we know, a lot of times dreams tend to be cryptic. So the cryptic nature has to do with all the way you perceive your environment or the objects in your environment. So the more we recognize this, the more we're going to be able to understand what our dreams are telling us, and actually the more our dreams are going to change. They're going to change into be more coherent, and in the sense that you're going to understand it, or the apparent context is going to be that more vivid in terms of the pertinent meaning to you, because that's really what it comes down to. One of the analogies I like using, is like our computers, that we use, because we either have like a Mac or a PC. We all browse the same Google, but Google looks different on everyone's computer because of their screens, because of how fast it's processing, whatever. Same goes for our dream aptitude and our astral projection abilities, everything. So as Steve mentioned, in terms of the psychic function of lucid dreaming, that applies even more so to that. Because, for instance, in that example I gave of the friend with the road, okay, to be able to differentiate between, is this about me or is this about them, has to come from your understanding of you. Because, for instance, in that example there I gave, if you're recognizing, okay, this doesn't really apply to my life because it just doesn't for whatever reason. It's like, well, if it's not me, then who is it? See, to be able even to perceive that is can be a little tricky, but it has to do with understanding your place in this environment and how you perceive it. So starting from the center, and so I liked earlier Di Maria was talking about being in the heart center, which is very important. And I like talking about that too, and I like talking about it from the sense for, we'll start from the left brain side, because one of the things with that is that a lot of times we hear that expression of we're operating from the heart as almost like a metaphorical or metaphysical functioning, but there's a very physical aspect to that, as we can see demonstrated in, say, heart transplants. Memories being transferred from one person to another, or compulsions being transferred to one person to the other. There's enough scientific documentation of this. And there's also there's a lot of unknowns about the heart center, like the cavity in the center, which helps with the compression. A lot of scientists are starting to theorize that is one of our 0-point connections in terms of the new understanding of science, the etheric layer, the Akashic records, so on and so forth. So operating from that point is very important, and to do that in relation to the dream realm, once again, has to do how you relate to the environment, to other people, to yourself on that level, that basal level. And why I say that basal level, because, for instance, if you have a low opinion of yourself, every time you look in the mirror, your pulse is probably going to go up. Your blood pressure is probably going to go up. All of that is recorded on the heart memory, and that is also going to figure into your dream symbology. So, and that works the other way too, obviously. So if you have a good impression of yourself, and an understanding of your environment, your dreams will start cohering more in a way that just makes more sense. And so that's one of the reasons why I do highly recommend re-examining your life, and that's why I say re-examining your life by being hyper-aware of what your reality is. So it includes even if you're in your environment, just take pause to recognize, like, how hot or warm is it, or how cool is it? Is the wind blowing from this direction? What sounds are in the area, even right now? Just be a little bit more aware of your environment, because all of that your subconscious is picking up anyways, and is turning it into your symbol of even the temple of light here. So your conscious mind might identify as preferences, but outside your own preferences, your own subconscious recorder is sitting there picking up everything. Everyone's talking, everything is there, accessible. So the more you recognize that, the more specific and coherent that information that you get, say if you have a replay of tonight, later on when you go to sleep, it'll make more sense. So being very aware of your surroundings and even what your own thoughts, if you want to get even more into it. And that actually does work in for lucid dream induction, or just dream induction anyways, like how I was talking about earlier, because of our basic physiological functions that have to do with when we do go to sleep and our body does power down and it amalgamates our short-term memories into our long-term memories. What that does is that creates what I call either a bridge or a portal to the astrals by injecting a conscious desire to interact with your environment, be it astral or here in the waking world, quote unquote. So you're by associating it with lucid dream induction, that's already creating that's creating the junction points in that web to now start attaching to whatever else that's going to come up in your dream world, as opposed to, like, if say this is the lucid association that wasn't there before, or that was there before. Now here's where you are before this situation. So it's like now all the things associated with lucid dreaming might not have, all the things associated with Temple of Light, without that intention put in there, they're never going to meet. It's like, here's the Temple of Light, here's the lucid dream, but now we put those together, now you might have more likelihood of those attaching. So if you do that more and more in your day, throughout whatever you're doing, with more intention and specific conscious will to experience that side consciously, the more likely you're going to encounter this, and the more likely you're going to experience this. And at one point, especially those here who have the least dream commonly, what's going to happen is you're probably going to start seeing more reoccurring symbols. And the more reoccurring symbols you have, the more, that's what I tend to call astral pivot points or choice points. And that is what is now used to help navigate when you astral project from outside of your own body, mind, dream experiences, your own emotional, mental, or physical body experiences that tend to correlate more with archetypal dreams or what are academic psychological dreams. Because that's another thing I want to just throw in there real quick. I did get really into Jungian dream interpretation, so I'm very familiar with that philosophy. And actually, at one point, you realize there's more to it, and that's kind of where I'm here now. But all of it does apply because and that's one of the reasons why I did gravitate towards Jung, is because his expression, even the academics, is one of we are all one in a sense, because he's saying everything is a reflection of yourself, which even metaphysically, we're understanding the holographic universe. That's a true statement no matter what. We're all part of one unified consciousness field. So this is what brings me back to the point of being hyper aware of who you are, what you're doing, your environment, because it's all reflecting that unity. And so the more we connect with that unity, the more we can move freely here and over there, actually. So moving on from there, so this is where it would be great if I had my little presentation. But either way, the other, let's see, what else can I talk about here? Because we do have some pretty, fairly intermediate people here. So what, okay, let me ask this. All of you here that experience dreams commonly, how many of you have common dream symbols reoccur? Does that happen a lot? Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is, this is for, for those of you, I'm sure you'll experience this the more attention you put towards it, but those reoccurring symbols, I suggest that you do the same thing I just said about being hyper-aware of the reality, be hyper-aware of that symbol. Start thinking about, what does it mean to me? What do I use it for? Why do I go there, or why do I see that? You just write down whatever comes to your mind. And then another one, too, is how do other people see that? So in other words, like if it's just the car, for instance, what would other people say about your car? Because that also is part of processing your environment, and that's part of the reflection that might come via one of the messages, that could be part of the dream sequence. So how people perceive who you are or whatever you're doing, that also helps delineate, me, them, whatever. And so that really leads to more of acute perception and intuition on the dream level, because that's one thing that if I'm not sure how many have researched remote viewing before, but Joseph McMonagle, one of the first really, I guess, official remote viewers in the Army, had talked about working in the lucid dream state, and they're saying that even in their studies at the Monroe Institute, that if you can attain that the awareness in the dream state, that the viewing was just the quote was astounding results could come from this. So, because if you think about this, what happens when we go into the astral, so to speak, is that we're actually immersed in that waveform or that thought form. That becomes our reality. So it's almost like inhabiting a satellite TV field or a TV wave or something that's coming in, or a signal. You're now immersed in that by tuning your apparatus. And that tuning comes from recognizing your associations and where you want to go with intention. And so the more we interact consciously in this reality with intention to bridge into the other one, or at least understand what's going on in our dream world, the more that coherency will happen based on your own intention, your own understanding of yourself. So the common dream symbols that come up, what ends up happening then, so a lot of those tend to be our houses, things like that. And so what happens at one point when you start coming more clear about what all these things mean to you and why you're showing up there in your past, is what will happen is you'll be able to go there. That's the astral projection part. You'll be able to actually just will yourself to that location much more easily, consciously, and from there you can navigate wherever you want, because I'm in a house. And so for those who may not be familiar with it yet, but doorways, windows, this is a common thing that a lot of people talk about in terms of portals to different places, or you can teleport different places, stuff like that. It's true. So any threshold, really technically, it's not even just a window or a door, it's any threshold So that's a very important distinction for those advanced travelers out there. So once you're inhabiting someplace that's safe, like your house or a common astral point, that makes it much easier for you to consciously navigate with specific intentions to experience something that's more positive. Because I think that far too often there's techniques given without enough background or not enough precaution, really, that it can be a little bit dangerous, honestly, because that's one thing that I had to learn firsthand, is that it's not everything in the dream world, stays there. So you have to be a little bit aware of that, like how much of the Shaolin masters say, be conscious of even your thoughts, because they create universes, and that's true. All of those infinite amount of dimensions that can happen, they do bridge off from the imagination, our own creation point. So there isn't any numbers of dimensions you can inhabit. All of them are different possibilities, lines of causality, as I call them sometimes. Some people call them timelines. Either way, they're all linked up by these associations. So your association in this reality will bridge it to the other ones just by the fact that you're in that reality. And so this also works into the astral projection. Because if we look at it from that point of view, even if you're projecting astrally, so to speak, in what someone might call quote-unquote real time. Let's say we have an astral projector here right now, someone viewing right now. They're still inhabiting a different dimension of reality than we're experiencing, because the collective here aren't saying, oh yeah, hey, there's an astral projection right there. Does anyone see astral projections here? That'd be awesome, because I know it does happen, because some people do see those astral bodies move. And I'm not sure if anyone has ever experienced that, but I know I've had different people report that to me as well as myself, seeing other people and recognize, and they'll say, oh, I had a dream that I was over there. It's like, yeah, I kind of saw you, actually. It's pretty interesting. And that's when it gets astonishing, because what happens is when we start putting that conscious intention to inhabit both worlds, that's going to happen more often than not. And this is where it starts bridging into things like deja vu. Because I'm sure everyone's experienced deja vu, right? And so these are all being aware, once again, hyper aware of the different lines of causality, dimensions, timelines, whatever, converging on this choice point. And so, for instance, I'm sure that a lot of these significant places in our lives, those are probably some of the reoccurring places in the dreams, I'm sure. It's because those are important personal identifiers to you. And so what that is helping shape your image of yourself and how you're actually projecting out to others in terms of who you see, how you see yourself, because say you really identified with your Egypt trip. And so you're really talking about that, and it moves you to look into more of the ancient Egyptian stuff. And so now that's part of your persona. So, and the more we recognize that, the more clarity of our own direction in life becomes too. So this goes deeper than just kind of having fun in fantasy land. That's one of the things that I never really saw dreams as being. So that whole if your dream come true, a lot of people associate it with fantasy and desire, and that's just not me. When I talk about manifesting your dreams, I'm talking about actually walking your soul path and being spiritually in tune with who you are and what you're meant to create here. And so the more we get in touch with that side, because if you think about this, not everyone is going to learn how to sit and read someone psychically, just sit and meditate and do that. But everyone passes out at night. Everyone passes out. So we all have our key to that intuitive world, that we just have to figure out our web of associations to unlock that. And then we can immerse ourselves in all these different realities and see for ourselves what's really going on outside of time, because that's where that becomes more pertinent as well, because we hear that often now, especially since we're doing this 22nd thing after the 21st. We didn't die, obviously, which I don't even know where that came from, but that's the thing. It's we're moving into that if we're talking about dimensions in relation to length, width, depth. Okay, fourth dimension we could say is duration or time. So when we have precognitive dreams, for instance, and we see that come to pass, that is us literally being aware of our fourth dimensional density. You are now aware that you're moving, the plasticity of time, you could say. And you can realize your place in that line of causality which created that moment, which is really empowering because you recognize that it's not so much any one action creates the reality, it's more of a synchronization or synchronicity to that chain of causality that created that reality. And this is another place where I wish I had my illustrations. Because it is a very weird and tangled web that we are inhabiting here. But it's really a really fun one when we recognize our ability to move in it and create within it outside of the confines of our physical perceptions here. We're more than just this mass here. And when we connect with our subconscious mind, one of the easiest ways to do it is through the dream realm because, hey, we do it every night. Whether you remember it or not, that's a different story. So that's why I'm saying consciously try to be aware of this while you're awake is the best bet to do it because ultimately what you're perceiving is still part of that amalgamation of what you perceive of yourself and your environment. And so the more we do that, the more possibility we're going to see. And so there's a couple of techniques that I do recommend. And let's see. Okay, actually, let's do this because I know everyone's probably a little worn anyways. And see, I like doing guided meditations too. But see, the difference with my guided meditations are I actually want you to go to sleep. So at least lightly. I actually want you to lightly go to sleep. Okay, so we're going to do that because this is part of getting in touch with your basically your body awareness and synchronizing it with your conscious intention. And what I'm really training you to do is actually kind of to get familiar with that hypnagogic state. And from there, you pretty much can move any which way you want. So, and that's also actually, it bridges on to what different people will teach in intuitive class or remote viewing classes too. But what I like to do is try to get everyone acclimated to what it actually feels like to know that your body is starting to sleep, but your mind is pretty much there. And so everyone get comfy. Are we getting comfy? Let's get comfy. Let's get comfy a little bit. It's going to be quick because that's the other thing. It should be quick. You should be able to go up and down. So no big deal if it doesn't happen right away, but at least you'll be familiar with the technique. And like I said, this is fun, so feel free if you start dozing, no big deal. That's good. And hey, we're even losing the lights. That's fine. I don't care. But we're really going for the night thing this time. So, okay, so just get whatever position you feel more comfortable. Cross your legs, cross your arms. I don't care. If you have enough room to lay down in the chairs, that's fine too. So, because we gotta get acclimated here. So, first, just start regulating your breathing by taking a deep breath in your nose, and then out. At whatever pace feels comfortable, but slightly slower than what you're consciously thinking or were thinking before. Just and now, with your eyes closed there, start feeling as if there is a warm, comforting, relaxing pool of water down your feet. And as you're feeling your feet kind of just slightly immersed in that water, start feeling all the tension just start going away from there too. All the tension in your toes and everything. And as the water is going to be moving up slowly, and as it's moving, release the tension. Be very conscious. Be hyper aware of your body. If you wiggle your toes, move your ankles a little bit, just feel any tension on. Just start letting yourself relax. Let your body relax. As the water is now moving up to your shins and your calves, just start letting your calves relax while regulating your breathing. Nice, easy, calm, comforting pace. And now that calm, warm, relaxing pool of water is up to your thighs and letting go any of that tension in your legs from everything that's going on. Continue breathing and let Just relax, relax, and just know that you're in a calm, comforting, safe environment. And this is now the void that we're all familiar with when we close our eyes. And as that water is now getting to your chest, you're actually finding it easier to breathe. You're not actually feeling any weight because this cool, warm, comforting water is making it even easier to breathe as you realize you're fully immersed and you're still breathing. Yes, we can breathe under this water because it's our own water of comforting, relaxing creation. We're floating now, tensionless, weightless, just letting ourselves breathe and relax. And right now, as you're listening to my voice, what I want you to do is just raise your right hand as fast as you can. Now, did anyone feel any sluggishness when they did that? Okay, that sluggishness right there is your body going to sleep while your mind is awake. And this is a technique that I call stretching your consciousness. So the more you do this, the object is to actually get to the point where you're pretty much putting yourself in a self-induced sleep paralysis. But what we're all like using that term, what you're actually doing is you're readying your vessel for astral departure, okay? In the comforting void. And it's very important to feel relaxed and calm. So anytime you can do this quick technique and just let your body relax and then see how responsive your body is. Because what that is that actually is you're awake. You're actually kind of, in a sense, lightly lucid dreaming when you have a sluggish body response because your conscious is actually operating on that low. Isn't it kind of fun to prove them wrong? So this technique is something that actually can help you even just go to sleep during restless nights and stuff like that, allowing that relaxation to go there, because what's going to happen is, a lot of people suggest when we meditate, we try to, empty our mind of thoughts. I kind of say the opposite. Go ahead and let it all be there while you're letting your body go to sleep. Because what's going to happen then more likely is you're going to induce a lucid dream, or you're probably going to induce some kind of dream that's going to examine the situation that you're ruminating over anyways. And technically, as you're letting that body relax, you're actually freeing up a whole bunch of cognitive resources, more computation power to actually calculate and look at these different possibilities that are in front of you. So that technique that I shared there, the reason why I kind of just sped through it too, is because that can be used also for intuitive applications. Getting yourself in that relaxed state, being there, you're going to release any of the conscious tension, any body tension that might skew your information that's coming up, and it'll also put you in a receptive mode to basically process or receive any information if that's your intention. But for this purposes, what we're talking about is inducing lucid dreams. So when you're at home tonight, I suggest trying this and letting yourself do this until you actually just go ahead and pass out. And this will help get the conscious mind acclimated to the process of being awake while your body is asleep. It's a very kind of fundamental principle, but the application sometimes could be kind of nebulous. This is why I like to try to hammer them down into some things we can just do all the time to work that muscle out. And so the more we do this, the more that intention is being encoded into our subconscious, those programs that run there all the time, that's going to say, oh, they want to interact with that dream world directly. And so this helps also the conscious mind know that it's possible. So that's the biggest inhibitor that I see in so many people who want to learn to lucid dream or astral project, is the belief that they can't, or that they need some kind of tool or apparatus or drug or whatever else to do it. And it's not necessarily true. I'm not saying it's bad. I think some of the contraptions out there are excellent, as well as some entheogenic stuff. But either way, that technique there is one that can be used pretty much any time, just to relax yourself. And then that will, like I said, also help you create a more tangible, logical bridge to the lucid dreaming world. And that, from that point too, that blackness, that void, it's a junction point to anywhere in all creation. It's once again the black or white thing. It's blacks everywhere. So it's literally a portal to anywhere you want to go, including some of those common dream symbols or astral locations, or sometimes I call them temporal localities, because they seem to be located in their own, in that fourth dimensional space that kind of sit there outside of this linear time. And so that helps us to become more consciously aware of that, and that obviously is the goal, to be a conscious lucid dreamer and astral projection. And there's one more technique that I have on my thing, but I'm totally blanking out on right now, which is too bad. But yeah, so tying these two, at least the techniques I was able to share right now, with being more aware of your web of associations throughout your day, is kind of like the same sort of technique. I'm sure a lot of people say, look at your hand and ask yourself, am I dreaming? Okay, that is a common one, but the reason why I don't actually suggest that one is because it actually does tie yourself to a body, an actual form, which may or may not be necessary when you're astral traveling or lucid dreaming. So it's going to be there anyways when you get back. So the point is, this which gets me to the last technique, a little expansion on there, is to become more of a point of consciousness in the void, that's freely moving. That's one of the reasons why I use the water analogy, because most of us have been underwater and have had some sense of weightlessness as opposed to actually being in space. So it's a little easier for us to understand our subconscious and our conscious mind to get that feeling. And I know a lot of people have experienced this, and I'm sure it sounds like a lot of experiencers are here too, will recognize that sort of floating feeling that can happen even while we're walking in the astrals. It feels kind of floaty. So the more kinesthetically we get familiar with that turns into more awareness of your associations once again, which allows you to focus your intention to induce lucid dreams or astral projections. So I know I'm almost out of time here, but I have a couple more minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone? Questions? Anyone? Oh, hey, yes.
I would just say one thing, that I know how you can have more flying dreams, or dreams where you can get away from certain things. When they are in your dreams, you should sleep on your stomach, and you put it all kinds of places.
That's interesting, yeah, because
If you sleep on your back, on your side, you won't have the dreams the way you want. I noticed I didn't have a lot. As soon as I start to sleep on my back, I'm gone. I'm going here, I'm going right away. You have to sleep on your stomach.
And that's interesting, because I've heard a lot of similar stories, actually. And one thing that I've noticed, because a lot of people say side, this side, that side, back, forward, and I realize it seems to be more about, okay, if we're trying to change something, it's changing our patterns in our day-to-day life too, and that includes how we're sleeping. So the more likely you are to go outside of your habitual self, that is going to induce more of that conscious awareness, because of that our subconscious is more of compulsory. It's running stuff that we tell it to all the time. And so the more we go outside of that, the more we're breaking our own programming that says, I want to confront this issue. That's like a conscious ritual that's happening there. Just like any other, like a cleansing ritual of sage or anything like that, but this one happens to be focused on dreaming and confronting that. And yeah, that's good, because that's very important. Confronting your fears or whatever your obstacles in your path via dream realm, I can't recommend that enough, to definitely do that. Much more safer a lot of times looking at the different possibilities from that dimension than it would be to try to explore them here. Say, especially if you're having to deal with like an ornery boss or something, it's easier to confront their astral representation than it would be necessarily their physical one. And then you might learn some new things about them too. Yeah. No.
It's not a question. I just wanted to add, when you talk about being aware and talking about symbolism and being adventurous, I'd like to bring up the whole idea of exploring what's ever in your dreams more too. Not just going through windows and doors and portals, but if you find a box, open up the box. Yeah. Find out what's in the box, or a bag, or what's in the cupboard. You'll be amazed at what you find.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually, and to help induce, because a lot of times what ends up happening is someone will recognize they're on the verge of becoming aware in their dream to explore something like that. So to push yourself over that edge, what I would suggest, once again, is just demonstrating that same action here. So if there was some time you wouldn't go that way normally, go that way, because that's gonna be re-amalgamated into your long-term memory, which turns into your symbols once again, and it's gonna have that specific intention attached to it, that association of lucidity or exploration in the lucid realm. So it's kind of like a weird symbol word game that we're actually navigating in the astrals in that lucid world, shall I speak. So it's like a puzzle game. So the more we understand those pieces, and those pieces are made by ourselves in our own cognitive understanding, once again, the more adept of lucid travelers we will be. So that's my little presentation for today, and if you want to find out more, I am Jerry Avalos, and you can find my website at whoslucidwhatnow.com. That's all one word, whoslucidwhatnow.com. And yeah, so hope everyone enjoyed.
Protocol.
Oh, I forgot.
Toastmasters, you learn these things. Thank you, thank you.
Actually, I'm so used to just teleporting off, from, it's like,
I was hoping the lights would brighten up. We're going to do our drawing here because I decided might as well, since you guys are being so fun and sticking around before I start talking, before we go into our next break, we're going to go ahead and do the drawing and door prize. So you guys could get some organite. We're going to start with the little pieces and work up to the big pieces. But trust me, this stuff all works. It's all been tested, and it really does work. This is good stuff. So everybody have your tickets ready? Now, we have a special guest that I'm going to ask to help me do this. Hello, Princess? Princess? Hello? Princess? Hey. Princess, thank you. Please. Now, you're going to have to do this a few times because I think a few people have left. So would you please do the honors and select the first one?
Okay, we have a 466 366. 466 366.
No?
466 366. Last digits are 366. Going once, going twice, 366.
You guys do want this stuff, right?
Oops.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, that goes into the out pile.
Okay.
Okay, number 2.
Okay, we have the last 3 digits are 360. 360.
That was Tim.
Now you remember those numbers.
Tim's not
that's nice.
here. Oh, wait.
360.
We have a winner?
Yeah. Excellent. You have a winner.
Would you please take one of the little guys?
Wow, you got a nice gift.
All right.
I wish I was there to get those.
Yeah.
I want that middle one. I wish I was there.
Go
Anyway,
get a ticket.
yeah.
Up front.
Wow, I don't know how to get it back. All right, we have next one. Last 3 digits are 362. 362. 360. Gosh, right next. That's perfect.
Congratulations. There you go.
That one is. Oh, wow. Somebody over there again. Next one, last 3 digits are 373. 373. 373. 373. Next.
Hey.
Next one is 367. 367. I was waiting. I didn't know you. Something. Oh, you get one of our pyramids.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Hi, sister.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Ooh, that one's wet. I don't want
Oh,
that
no,
one.
it's sticky. That's okay. It's not,
Okay, maybe that one wants
Those-
to get picked. Ooh, get that one out of there.
trust me, that was just the first ticket.
Okay. The next one is 357. 357.
357. Magnum.
357. 357.
Okay, don't look, just pick.
370. 370. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Next one is 364. 364. Yeah.
Did you really?
What?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations. All right, the next one is
No,
for
I want that.
the skull.
No, I want that. Okay. Someone's lucky. Gonna get a crystal skull. Okay. 363. 363. 363. 363. You got 363 too. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Hi. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. All right,
Congratulations is right.
the big pyramid.
From Peru. That's a Peruvian pyramid kind. Yeah. Ready?
Okay,
Last one.
cross your fingers.
Three, 382.
Yay,
Yeah.
the big winner.
I actually wish to
Yeah, you manifested it.
Congratulations.
Okay. They have a good radius. The best thing to do is kind of keep it in the center of your home, wherever you want to carry it around with you. If it's a little guy, you just kind of bring it with you to work. Keep it sitting on your desk, in your car, in your purse or pocket. Just keep it around. It's a good thing to have. Keep it nearby when you're sleeping. Your pets are not feeling good, put it nearby the pet. What does it do? Okay, well, they are cosmic air cleaners, is what they do. They basically suck up bad orgone, bad energy, and they cleanse it from the air and put it back out as good energy. So they don't just remove the bad energy, they actually put out good energy. So they're wonderful
You can be keeping
things.
the car, especially if you think you're going to drive angry to work. Just make sure you have that in the car, maybe near the dashboard. Put a double-sided tape under it and put it on dashboard. Put double-sided tape so it doesn't slide around and keep it there. And then if it's going to be in Irvine, just cover it with some shade. You know how you put shade over the window, so that way it doesn't,
You could drop one of these inside a bucket of water, a pitcher of water, and let it sit for an hour, and it will purify the water. Yeah,
especially in the car.
it will actually, yeah, I'm sure Dr. Emoto would back that up, but yeah, supposedly this is a good thing to do, so. I suppose if you have like cases of Arrowhead or something, stick it over there and it can't hurt.
Yes.
Anyway, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that, and congratulations to our winners, and we're going to take another short break. Please stick around, the best is yet to come.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.